So welcome, fellow councillors and officers, to this special meeting, a continuation of the full council meeting that was adjourned on the 30th of May. I would firstly like to introduce Jill Hobbs, a lay minister for North Dartmoor parishes, to say a prayer and a few words for us. Thank you, Jill.
There you go. It's all right, I'll hold it for you because it's directional. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy to be here this afternoon, just here to do a short reading and a short prayer. The reading I've chosen this afternoon is Isaiah chapter 55, verses 10 and 11. It's a favourite of mine and demonstrates God's work in action, bringing purpose and fruitfulness on earth. As the rain and the snow come down from heaven, and do not return to it without watering the earth, and making it bud and flourish, so that it yields seed for the sower and bread for the eater, so is my word that goes out of my mouth. It will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, your wisdom and your support as we come here today to make important and often difficult decisions for the borough of West Devon. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion and so fulfil the purpose for which we were elected. Help us to carry out our work with fairness and with intelligence, so that it may be of real advantage to all who live here. May we grow in wisdom and learn the benefits of working together as a team, with a spirit of kindness and generosity to all those whom we meet, whether at work, at rest, or at play. This we ask in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Jill. Welcome again, councillors and officers. First, I would like to say a welcome to our two new councillors, Councillor Mann and Councillor West. I hope you find your councillor role rewarding and inspiring. Secondly, I'd like to offer my congratulations to our senior leadership team for winning Leadership Team of the Year in the prestigious MJ Awards. It is a wonderful achievement and one they can be justly proud of. And can we have a round of applause to show our appreciation? Thank you. And my final items are regarding council procedures. Please address me as Mayor. It's my title and needs no other embellishments. And I know we've had difficulties in the past, and I don't want to be known as Mr. Mayor. So just Mayor will be fine. And also, for this council, we'll have no requirements to stand when you address the Mayor and the council. Our microphone and video systems are designed to be used seated, and it has caused problems for people listening online and also people listening in the chamber if you're too far away from the microphone. If you want to stand, you certainly are able to, but please remember to pick up your microphone so that it's facing your mouth. And also, when you're seated, make sure that your computer is not between you and the microphone. And I think that will solve a lot of the problems that we've been recently experiencing. So thank you. Now on to our council meeting. Item 1, apologies for absence. Mr. White?
Up there, Mayor. We've got one apology, thank you, Mayor, from Councillor Viney for this afternoon's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 2, confirmations of the minutes of the council meeting held on the 30th of May. I hope you have all read and agree with the minutes as a true and accurate record of that part of the meeting. Can I have a proposer?
Propose those minutes, Mayor.
Thank you. And a seconder?
Happy to second, Mayor.
And all in favour?
That's clearly carried for the minutes. Thank you, Mayor.
So, item number 3, declarations of interest. In accordance with the Code of Conduct, members are invited to declare any disclosable pecuniary interests, other registrable interests and non-registrable interests, including the nature and extent of such interests they may have in any items to be considered at this meeting. So, item number 4, the Council Constitution. This item is to note the Constitution as set out in your agenda papers, to note the changes made by the Monitoring Officer since the adoption of the Constitution, as set out in the record of changes attached as appendix to the report. Are there any questions, members? Councillor Ewins?
Just going to propose the Constitution. I'd have gone a bit ahead.
Councillor Mott.
Councillor Mott?
Thank you, Mayor. I will continue to stand, as is the tradition of this council. I would just like to question, please, the makeup of the Audit and the Overview and Scrutiny Committee and the Hub Committee, in that I note in this revision of the Constitution that it does not say that members must be spread across all three, that it would then allow for duplication across the committees. My concern with this would be that if members are not on one of those three committees, they do not have a voice that can adequately be expressed within this council.
I think we are going to address that a bit further along in the agenda, Councillor Mott. Would you like
May
an
I ask
answer now?
where, please? Because this is the Constitution.
I'll pass you to Mr. White.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Mott's correct. Pre the last Council Constitution review during the summer of last year, it was a requirement for all 31 members to sit on one of the Hub, the Audit and Governance Committee, or the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. As part of his review into the Constitution last summer, Mr. Fairbairn, that requirement was taken out as a recommendation, which was subsequently approved by the Council last year. So that requirement, I mean, the one thing I'd say is at the moment the membership size is such whereby they still do add up to 31. So if as part of the nomination process there was a wish for all members to sit on one of those committees, it would still remain, but that requirement has come out of the Constitution.
So does that answer your question, Councillor Mott? It has already been approved by Council.
It does, but we are about to approve it again for the next year forthcoming. So I'm raising the question now. I know we went through it and we made adjustments and we updated and streamlined the Constitution. However, my understanding was that that spirit of the fact that everybody had to sit on at least one of those three committees remained. I would therefore then like to propose a amendment to the Constitution that would mean that members sat on one of those three committees.
Mr. White, could I have You would need a seconder?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm really happy to second that. I think this is something that in the minutiae of looking at the Constitution, I certainly seem to have missed. I think there are concerns about the involvement of members within the work of the Council, and one of the reasons behind the device that was employed previously was that members would be involved in at least one of those committees, but also then the members sitting across different committees also gives me some concern. For example, that members on the Audit Committee could sit on the Overview and Scrutiny Committee when audit is reporting to ONS, and that seems to me to be a flawed aspect of this change as well.
So, councillors, is there any debate on this amendment?
If it would help, I can see the member that the councillors are referring to, and I'm more than happy to remove said person. It is an error, and we will come back with an extra person to go on to the Overview and Scrutiny Committee.
Councillor Jury?
Thank you, Mayor. Forgive me, I don't think we're talking about the makeup of the committees yet. We're talking about the Constitution and the wording that is in the Constitution that would then lead to the makeup of those different committees. So merely changing what is to come later is not going to change the Constitution, which is what we're asking.
So what's being asked for is to return to the Constitution as it was previously written before the amendments. Is that what we're asking for, Councillor Mott?
Sorry, Mayor, if I could make it clear then.
Yes.
Before, as it stood before, and my understanding was that was how it was going to continue, and again, my apologies for not picking on that before when we were proofreading it, is that every member had to sit on one of those 3 committees. And with the wording as it is at the moment, it means that members do not have to sit on one of those committees. And it would allow then for duplication across. It's very difficult for an Overview and Scrutiny Committee to do that role if you are sat on one of the other committees that you are meant to be scrutinising.
Yes,
Hence the requirement for there to be one member, members across one of the 3, without duplication.
Through you, Mayor, we are, for clarity, we're in the realms of an amendment which seeks to reinstate the convention whereby all 31 members sit on one of either the Hub, the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, or the Audit and Governance Committee. So that's the amendment we're debating.
Any more debate, members? Councillor Enders?
Just a quick one. So I get my head around this, and I've missed this historically as well, but so the legal department has looked at this and decided there is no need for this. We've then ratified it and agreed it, and now we're going to go back. Is Mr. Fairbairn in the room to make a comment on it? We seem to be changing something that he's spent a lot of time and a lot of effort looking at in the first place. That was my only. But like Councillor Mott, I didn't realise that we changed it. But having said that, it is what it is, isn't it? And we voted for it. I don't know that there is a need to change it, but I wanted to get a legal view on it before we made a decision. It's quite a big decision, though, isn't it?
So I don't think it's a legal issue as such. We did a thoroughgoing review of the Constitution, which involved many of our members in that debate through the process, and it was then voted on by full council, and unless my memory fails me, was agreed unanimously by all members present. So it's a political decision. The Constitution reflects the law. This is not part of the legal bit of the Constitution. It's a matter for the 30 members present today. If they wish to change it, then they can change it. Clearly, it's a straightforward majority vote in council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Oxborough.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wonder if we could have a think for a second about changing a rule that could potentially disenfranchise any one member in this room from sitting on one of those 3 committees. How would that individual ask ourselves the question, if it was me, any one of us, who was disenfranchised because of the way things worked out? We're effectively putting in place a rule that could deny a member a key position within the council. I just wonder if that's a wise thing to do, and perhaps the old way maybe is the more sensible way, and we need to revisit the thinking behind this before we make such a change.
debate already exists. This is about changing
Yes.
the ban.
This is actually about changing the change that we've already voted for. Councillor Ball?
Thank you, Mayor. Very hard to not say Mr. Mayor, but I'll do my best. Okay. I think Councillor Oxborough's point is kind of what I was thinking, really, but it's also the flip side of that, as has been alluded to already. You know, the audit committee and the scrutiny committee perform a very specific role, an important role within this council of members who are not on the hub. And I think where there's potentially a conflict of interest across those two councils, I think actually could reflect badly on us as a whole, as a council, potentially. And I think that, for me, it isn't about undoing the whole change. It's just making an amendment to agree that each member who are not on the hub should sit on one of the three committees. And maybe a suggestion to Councillor Mott, who's brought the amendment in, that maybe just slightly tweak the wording that we're being very specific, that we just want to make sure that any councillor who's not on the hub must sit on one of the three councils, and that way we're not undoing Mr. Fairbairn's work in the rest of the document. I put that forward as a suggestion. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. Any more debate? Councillor Cheadle.
Well, I took part in the discussions on the Constitution, as did Councillor Jury, and I can't remember this being a sort of fundamental point that we discussed. I have to say I do agree with the premise that the council has worked very well, with every member of the council having a role within the offices of the council. So I would certainly support the suggestion that every councillor sits on either the hub or audit or overview and scrutiny. It's worked well in the past, and I don't remember any discussion at the time of the constitutional debate that suggested otherwise.
Thank you, Councillor Cheadle. Any more debate before we go to the vote?
No. Got it proposed and seconded.
Yes, we have. Yes. So we're voting on the amendment to the Constitution.
So before we put our hands in the air, Mayor, if it's helpful, we are voting on an amendment to reinstate the convention whereby all 31 members sit on one of either Hub Committee, Overview and Scrutiny Committee, or Audit and Governance Committee. Therefore, members all in favour of the amendment, please show. (28) in favour of the amendment.
Anybody against? Anybody against?
Any abstentions?
2 abstentions. Thank you, Mayor. So therefore, the amendment is carried and therefore part of the substantive motion. Thank you, Mayor.
So now we're going to vote for the substantive motion with the new amendment. So we note the Constitution is set out in your agenda papers, and note the changes made by the monitoring officer, which have since been amended since the adoption of the Constitution, and also set out in the record of the changes attached as Appendix A to the report, but with the new amendment. So all in favour?
Thank you, Mayor. That's unanimous for the 3 parts of the new recommendation. Thank you.
Item 5, business brought forward with the consent of the Mayor. Can I invite Councillor Ball to propose that the Council recognises the anniversary of the ending of the Falklands War and the contribution made by West Devon? Thank you, Councillor Ball.
Thank you, Mayor. Members, I know there's at least one other person in here who served in the armed forces. I served in the Royal Navy between 1978 and 1989, and of course the Falklands conflict was in 1982, so I was serving when it happened. I didn't actually go down to the conflict, but was in. June the 14th, which has just passed us recently, is the anniversary of when the conflict came to an end, with the surrender of the Argentinian troops on the islands. The British colony had been liberated at that point. However, there was a cost. We lost 4 Royal Naval ships, 2 ships run by the Army, and 1 civilian ship. 255 men lost their lives. In all, 130 of the deaths were naval personnel, with over 250 also injured, some of them very seriously. I wanted to take the opportunity to propose that we acknowledge the service that these men, mainly men, but there were some women that went to, that came to liberate a part of Britain, really, although it's a long way away, and not in Scotland, where many of us thought when it first broke out. So I'd just like to read some notes I've got on my phone, if I may, and then I can then pass back to you, Mayor. So I'd like to say thank you to all those who went down south and did their duty and helped to regain control of a bit of British soil, whichever of the forces they served in. But I'd like to give a couple of tributes. Firstly, those from West Devon who were deployed. Personally, I know of a number of people who live in Oakhampton who were there during the conflict, and I would almost guarantee there'll be other people in all our the communities we represent. But I'd especially like to give, but especially to those who gave their lives or who were seriously injured and injured. Their sacrifice should not be forgotten. And I have to say, just as an aside, I'm a little disappointed that there was no mention of the anniversary at all, either on media or even through our leading politicians, which is somewhat disappointing. However, I appreciate that there has been some recognition recently, and in fact last year, which was the 40th year, it's the 41st year this year, there was a recognition. But should we be doing that every 10 years? I don't think so. These guys gave themselves to fight, and I think we should acknowledge it. But I'd like to give a specific acknowledgement to somebody I personally knew who sadly passed away with a heart attack recently. Mark Mad Dog Murdoch served in the Scots Guards and was a part of the British Legion in Oakhampton. And Mark was one of the troops that helped liberate the islands. And the Scots Guards actually had quite a tough time down there. And I know he personally didn't have an easy time. And even, just up to the point of his death, he struggled to talk about it. I'd just like to say, rest easy, brother. I hope members agree that we should all show our respect and gratitude to all these people. And obviously I'm specifically talking about the people who live in our communities. Thank you. Appreciate that time, members. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ball, and I hope councillors would join me in commending Councillor Ball for his moving speech. Now, item number 6, to report on the revised political composition of the council. And can I ask that we have a brief adjournment because of the agreeing to the previous amendment to the council constitution. We now need to have a discussion about the makeup of our committees. So 5 minutes? 10 minutes. Thank you. So we're now on item 7 of the agenda, to receive the appointments from the political groups making up the council of members they have selected to serve on council committees. To appoint, if any, the requisite number of committee members from those councillors who, at the date of this meeting, are not affiliated to any political group. So I invite a proposer. Thank you. And a seconder.
Happy to second. The other day I was like that stopped for there.
Would it be helpful, just so I went through the changes following the adjournment?
Yes, please, yes.
I've put them on the screen for members to see, but in light of the decision earlier to reinstate the convention for all members to sit on one of the 3 committees, we've in effect had a triple substitution. Councillor Cunningham has replaced Councillor Bridwater on the Audit and Governance Committee, and Councillor Guthrie has replaced Councillor Dexter, and Councillor Mann has replaced Councillor Oxborough on the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. So there's a requisite 3 changes as a result of the earlier decision. Thank you, Mayor.
Any questions?
My apologies, Mayor. Have we missed item 6 from the agenda?
Yes, we said we adjourned after I'd read item 6. Any more questions? No. And we've had a proposer and seconder. So any debate, councillors? All in favour?
That's 29 for the updated list. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. So item 8, to appoint the chairs and vice chairs of those committees on the council. This item will be taken as separate votes for each committee with more than 2 nominations for chair and vice chair. These will be taken by recorded vote if there are no objections to that. So the first committee will be a show of hands.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you. So the first vote, members, on agenda item 8 will be a standalone vote for the position of Vice Chair of the Audit and Governance Committee, to which there have been 2 nominees for the one role, being Councillors Ball and Councillor Roxburgh. So therefore, members, in alphabetical order, would those members please show in favour of Councillor Ball? That's 11 votes in favour of Councillor Ball. Those please in favour of Councillor Roxburgh? And 18 in favour of Councillor Roxburgh. Therefore, Councillor Roxburgh is declared Vice Chair of that committee. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Ball is Chair. So that means Councillor Ball and is Chair?
No, Councillor Oxford.
Oh, Councillor Oxborough is Chair and Councillor Ball is Vice Chair.
Councillor Oxford.
Vice Chair. Councillor Oxborough is Vice Chair and Councillor Ball is Chair. No, it can't be that way.
Councillor Oxford is Vice Chair.
Yes. That's what we voted on, apparently. So is it... Well, that seems if more people voted for one than the other.
We're going to take the rest on.
So the rest we will take as an en-bloc vote, using the list that we have above. So all in favour?
All in favour of the remaining appointments, please show, members. $29 in favour of those appointments. Thank you, Mayor.
Procedure. So item number 9, appointments to outside bodies. This hasn't changed. I'm just... Oh, this has changed. Okay. So I'm just making sure of the amendments, because I haven't seen them.
I mean, if I can help members,
Yes.
There's been a couple of last-minute changes to the list as circulated. I've highlighted them in pink. So the first one is outside body number 2, Dartmoor National Park Joint Advisory Committee on Housing. The three nominees for the two positions now are Councillors Elliott, Mott and Renders. And there's a further change at outside body number 18, Sparse Rural, where there is now just one nominee for the one position. So the two updates to the paper copies are at outside body 2 and 18. Thank you, Mayor. So therefore, members, at outside body number 2, Dartmoor National Park JAC, we have three nominees for the two positions. Sorry.
Can I raise a point of order, please, Mayor? It says in the notes that I have that each member is going to be allowed 2 votes. I'd like to put forward an alternative voting system, if I may, that each member should have 1 vote. It seems to me much more in keeping with the recent history of this council, which has been collaborative and working together, and also allowing for political representation right across the piece, and that we should have a voting system that, if you like, is more proportional representative in its nature than one which allows the larger group to merely bludgeon through the appointments they would like to make.
I would feel that if we were voting for 2 councillors, we have a vote on each position, each councillor, rather than 1 vote for 2 councillors. But that's my view.
I can understand that being your view, Mayor. I have to say that I'm very disappointed that this has happened in the first place. I'd be very disappointed if that is the way the vote goes. In recent history, particularly where there are 2 nominations allowed for a particular outside grouping, it has been split between the 2 major groups on the council, and we've taken 1 each, unless there has been a specific reason why that shouldn't happen. My view is that that should be allowed to continue, and my view would also be that an alternative way of voting would perhaps allow that to happen and be much more in keeping with the spirit of cooperation and working together that existed within this council.
I think, with respect, Councillor Dewey, this makeup of the council is now so altered from history. Then I feel, and as chair, I think I will carry this, that if we are voting for 2 people, we each have 2 votes.
Thank you, Mayor. That's a very interesting comment to note. I have to say that if the boot were on the other foot, we would not be doing the same thing. Thank you.
And ask Mr. White to take the vote, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Therefore, members, each members have got 2 votes, or up to 2 votes, for either Councillors Elliott, Mott, or Renders, and in alphabetical order, members, Councillor Ball.
I just vote for Councillor Mott.
Thank you. Councillor Blackman.
Reserve my other vote, thank you.
Councillor Blackman.
Same as Kevin, thank you.
Councillor Bridgewater.
Elliott and Renders.
Councillor Calder. Councillor Casbolt.
Councillor Mott.
Councillor Cheadle. Councillor Cunningham. Councillor Daniel.
Elliott and Renders.
Councillor Dexter. Councillor Edmonds. Councillor Elliott.
Assuming I can vote for myself, Elliott and Renders.
Councillor Ewings.
Councillor Elliott, Councillor Renders.
Councillor Guthrie.
Elliott and Renders.
Councillor Johnson.
Elliott and Renders.
Councillor Jory.
Mott.
Councillor Kimber.
Councillor Mott.
Councillor Leach.
Elliott, Renders.
Councillor Mann.
Elliott and Renders.
Councillor Moody.
Elliott and Renders.
Councillor Mott.
Mott and Renders to reflect the appointment to the Dartmoor National Park.
Councillor Roxburgh. Councillor Renders.
Elliott and Renders.
Councillor Saxby.
Elliott and Renders.
Councillor Sellis.
Mott and Renders.
Councillor Southcott.
Mott and Renders.
Councillor Squire.
Elliott and Renders.
Councillor Vashon.
Elliott and Renders.
Councillor Wakeham.
Councillor Mott.
Councillor Watts.
Councillor Mott.
And Councillor West.
Elliott and Renders.
Thank you, members. That's therefore 22 votes in favour of Councillor Renders, 19 in favour of Councillor Elliott, and 11 in favour of Councillor Mott. So those two positions therefore fall to Councillors Renders and Elliott. Thank you.
Right. We are now going to go through the same process for the Devon Audit Partnership.
Mayor, we feel that the nominations to the Devon Audit Partnership should be for the Chair and Vice Chair of the Audit Committee. And whilst we obviously voted a different way for that particular election, we're therefore intending to withdraw Councillor Ball's nomination from that list. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jury. We would no longer have to have a vote because we have two nominees for the two positions of Chair and Vice Chair.
Therefore, Mayor, the only outside body to which there are more nominations than vacancies is number 24, UNESCO Biosphere Reserve Partnership, to which Councillors Kimber and Viney have been nominated for one position. Thank you.
Who is first? Ewing? Councillor Ewing?
Thank you. I realise this may be a strange nomination to most of you, and Councillor Viney is unable to join us today. Councillor Viney actually works with UNESCO Biosphere Reserve Partnership on another project. So she is aware of how they work and everything else, and is very keen to be on this committee. I'm sorry she's not here to be able to speak for herself, but she had work commitments, and as the election's very close to today, she wasn't able to change her work. So we would like to put forward Councillor Viney, please.
Councillor Jury?
Thank you, Mayor. There has also been a long-standing tradition within the council that where nominations relate to geographical areas, that it should be somebody from in or close to that geographical area who takes the appointment. That has been the case with a number of particularly Tavistock and Oakhampton groups over time, and we've made sure that those were filled with local nominees. The North Devon Biosphere is in North Devon. It falls into West Devon only in the wards of Hatherley and North Taunton. And the benefit of having links between the local councillor and the council and the local councillor and parish councils in that area should not be overlooked. That's behind the reason for our nomination for Councillor Kimber, and I would urge people to look beyond what appears to be now some very firm groupings and actually vote for the local candidate and vote for Councillor Kimber.
Thank you, Councillor Jury. Councillor Ball?
Thank you, Mayor. It's a difficult one because I know that, you know, we all, over the period of time, we get involved in organisations which cross over with other organisations. But, you know, especially for the new members, you know, we do have to be careful that we don't get ourselves in, and I'm just making a general statement, but it does relate to this. We don't get ourselves in a situation where we have a potential conflict of interest. This position, representative, sorry, for that outside body, is to represent West Devon. And as the former leader said, obviously the ideal candidate is the person who's in the ward that it covers. It's wider than that, I accept, but for us as West Devon, that's where it is. So I would really encourage my opposition colleagues to consider that when voting, and encourage them to vote for Councillor Kimber. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. Councillor Guthrie?
Because it's a particular organisation that's specifically about the environment and about the biosphere. Sorry. Because it's a position that's particularly about the environment, as a little bit of homework I did on that, I'm assuming if Councillor Kimber's been proposed by that group that he's got a particular interest in that sphere.
Councillor Kimber, do you want to respond?
Yeah, just to say I'm very interested in the environment, have been for the last 30 years. I'm involved with conservation communities, which has just finished recently, but that's a project which extends from Hatherley up to Torrington, which are two very similar communities, crossing over different council boundaries. And I work closely with the environmental group in Hatherley. You're very welcome to join us.
Thank you. Any more debate?
Can't see any.
Take it to the vote.
Therefore, members, by show of hands, those in favour of Councillor Kimber, please show. That's 16 in favour of Councillor Kimber. Those in favour of Councillor Viney, please show. In favour of Councillor Viney. So therefore Councillor Kimber is a successful member. Thank you. There was 4 abstentions as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Therefore, Mayor, we are now in a position.
Now going to take the other appointments as an en-bloc vote.
Happy to second, Mayor.
Therefore, members, all for those remaining positions, please show. That's 29 in favour of the remaining appointments. Thank you, Mayor.
Now on to item 10 of your agendas, to appoint governance boards. To appoint the representatives to governance boards as follows. Are we going to have 3 votes again? Do we need 3 votes still? Yes. To approve, this will be done by 3 votes. To approve the list of councillors which you have received in front, as a paper copy in front of you, and also to approve the boards and to approve the members of the boards. And if no further nominations have been received, to vote en bloc for the list as it stands, which is the amended list.
Thank you, Mayor. Therefore, members, all in favour that we appoint to the 5 governance boards as listed. That's 29 in favour of the list. Therefore, members, all in favour of the size of those, please, i.e. number of members.
The Waste Working Group, it was previously on the financing and getting in of a Waste Working Group, and that has been and gone. We now need to have a Waste Working Group. We haven't completely settled on whether that is how members would like to see that group working. So if anybody feels there should be other people there or would like to join, we would be interested, to hear other people's views. I don't know whether Mrs. Moody's in the room to explain what we would be liking for this group.
Councillor Moody, do you want to make a comment?
No, not Councillor Moody,
Okay.
Mrs.
No,
Moody.
no,
He's got his hand up.
Thank you, Mayor. I was on the previous waste working group, found it very, very helpful and very interesting for me. And I would be very happy to join that group if that is possible. Thank you.
Yes, please, can you respond?
So in the absence of Mrs. Moody, I'll try and give an explanation. So the purpose of the waste working group really will be to have oversight of the council's main service delivery contract. Members will be aware of the detachment of the South Hams and West Devon contracts about 9 months ago now. It's important, though, with a service of this sort, that we have political oversight of it. We'll be making changes and improvements to that service over the years ahead, and the purpose of the working group is simply to ensure that there's a good interface between politicians and you as councillors and the senior team responsible for waste services. So thank you, Councillor Moody, for your comments. I absolutely support your view on it.
Councillor Mott.
Councillor Mott?
Thank you. As a previous member for the Waste Working Group and sitting on the Devon Waste Working Group, and I would also like to express an interest in sitting on that going forward, if that's possible.
Yes.
Thank you.
So are we going to agree or to vote on having two representative councillors on the Waste Working Group at this meeting?
Can I say that I am more than happy to have Councillor Mott, with her experience and everything else on the group, and Councillor Moody. And I'm just concerned, I didn't want it to be a complete alliance group. So, Councillor Mott, thank you.
Going to vote on that? Yes,
I've had a technology malfunction. What we're seeking, therefore, members, what we're seeking for at the moment is we voted on the setting up of the 5 boards as per the agenda papers, but we're looking now at a vote on the size, and if I understand correctly, the size proposed and seconded is that, in effect, the A, B, C and D are as they are, with the waste working group being increased to 8 members.
8. If we include...
It would be, as I understand, it would be 6 plus the lead member for communications and accessibility and the lead member for built environment.
Yes. So, any more debate, members? Can we take that to the vote, please?
We're voting on the size of each of these boards. Thank you, Mayor. That is 29 in favour with that amendment. Thank you, Mayor. Therefore, members, we need to vote on the members, which will be as per the published papers, with 2 additions being for the Waste Working Group, the lead hub committee member for communications and the lead hub committee member for built environment.
I propose that, Ms. Mayor.
Second?
Happy to second, Mayor.
All in favour, please, members? That is 29 in favour. Thank you, members.
Now on to item 11, to appoint the advisory groups. This item is to approve the appointment of the thematic advisory groups as received this morning as a separate list. Propose? A second?
Happy to second, Mayor.
Any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I did inform Mr. White this morning that we had a few amendments to the groups because of my 3 new councillors that we haven't seen to be able to ask their preferences. So, have you managed to add them in? No, okay. So The extra member for the built environment will be Councillor Viney. Pardon? No, sorry, I meant the built environment. I do apologise. Sorry. Councillor Ursula Mann for housing. Councillor Ursula Mann for the natural environment. Councillor West for people and community. Councillor West for resources. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Moody?
Just have a question, Mayor. I understand that broadband...
Could you speak into your microphone, please?
I understand that broadband is now in community and accessibility, but on our sheet it's shown in economy. So that needs to be amended.
I can't hear you.
Could you hold your microphone up to your mouth? Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, don't shout.
I understand that the broadband, which currently is shown under economy, is now being moved to communications and accessibility. Do we need to amend that at this meeting? Thank you.
Well, so thank you, Mayor. So the terms of reference as they are set out as they currently exist, with broadband fitting under economy. Of course, if the council wishes to make a decision to change that, then that's for the council to decide, and they can do that now.
Any debate on that, members?
Can I just...
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I was just going to say I carried this particular load for a number of years, and I don't think it really matters where it is, to be honest. It matters that someone's doing it.
Councillor Ewing?
I was just going to ask Councillor Jury how he feels, because we've been told, but it may not be correct, and it may still be with economy. So I was just going to ask Councillor Jury how he feels.
My feeling, Mayor, if I may through you, is that is where it sits. It's vitally important for the economy that we have a vibrant and working and efficient broadband. I don't think it sits comfortably with internal and external communications, which is about the council as a body communicating internally and externally, whether that uses broadband or not. It's not the same thing. I think it's very clearly, to me, a strategic aspect, and it sits within, to my mind, the economy portfolio.
I'm very happy with that, Mayor.
If there's any will to change it, we can take it to the vote. But if you're happy for it to remain with economy, then we'll...
I'd like to propose we leave it as it is, please.
Thank you. Any second for that? Moody. Can we take the appointment to the advisory group to the vote now, please?
And at the same time, members, can I ask that we reinforce the terms of reference of advisory groups as well? So, thank you. All in favour, please, members? (29 in favour). Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, councillors. It's good to be going forward with our new council. Thank you for attending and for an interesting, lively session. Thank you.
Well done.
Bye.